the amount of people now that want to do these events is, I'm assuming, pretty overwhelming for a lot of you guys. And so I'm wondering, and I've seen this too with a lot of my clients, is that they'll say, well, if you want to do like a high-end sort of production type thing, then you have to pay for it. And then we have the people and the facilities in order to do that. If you just want to do something for your team that's 100 people, and it's your quarterly update for your sales team or your marketing team or whatever, you can do that through Zoom webinars, Microsoft Teams, or whatever. Is that something that you guys are seeing, and does that help, I guess, pay for a lot of the advancements that you guys are able to do moving forward?
It definitely helps with controlling the crowd, Andy, right? We have an intake process or a filtration process, if you will, where we have people who consult, right? Somebody will submit and say, I got to do a webcast on day X. These are the speakers. This is the geography we're targeting. It's going to be internal or external. We want polls or no polls. And then we'll speak with them, right? We'll talk to them, get an understanding of the creative that's involved. Is it simply something small enough and doable from your end with self-serve? You can choose between Teams or Zoom, right? If you want that polish or top self type of experience, yes, absolutely. There's going to be costs around that, right? And then to those costs is the team or the team's availability present, right? Can we make it work for you? We have to do this, right? Otherwise, everybody's knocking on your door, waiting forever, trying to push their webcast, and everybody's webcast is equally as important as the others, right? Of course, C-suite gets priority, right? No question asked. We make it work, but you have to have some sort of workflow to create a crowd control, to manage expectations, and then to feed the purpose, right? Maybe that 100 or 50 people event would turn out to be far more engaging if you did it in the style of a meeting versus perhaps doing it as a webcast, right? So a lot to consider and a lot to consult on, but definitely you got to start with that intake process to get the client where they need to be.
Yeah, and for us, we are lucky to have a sister team that includes account managers, and their knowledge of all the process and all the different platforms has helped at least set up on those initial calls, those initial conversations, some realistic expectations. They also have a roadmap so that maybe 80% of our work is something we know is coming down the pike, so we can plan for it and resource for it. And then we had a conscious effort to hand off a lot of things and put them back into DIY mode. Everybody now knows how to use Zoom. There's no more excuse. So everyone knows how to we Zoom, and by default, pretty much Zoom webinars. So we essentially drew a line under some level. We had some criteria that we went by, and under that line, it was essentially became a do-it-yourself. We gave them all the tools, we gave them all the licenses to do it, and that allowed us to free up and actually concentrate on keeping the production level high on those key elements. And all of our work comes from the key initiatives that LinkedIn have and the priorities that it has to kind of check some boxes from that team, that account manager team, and then it comes in to us. So that helps keep it manageable. Before times, our system of keeping or sort of limiting how many events were coming in were our spaces. Everything was in a space. So we had 5-6 spaces, let's say. You could book those spaces. That was our constraint. When everything went remote, there was no more physical constraint. There was no more sort of booking constraint that would limit how many events people could request. So that's why we had to tighten up on our criteria, and it's helped immensely.
It's interesting, just to add to the space element, right? Those space also had high price tags. And when we went virtual, the space was literally your home, right? So we became very efficient at doing these types of events, and it became extremely cost effective as well to do these virtually, right? And one of the things we will continue to ask is, what's your budget for your experience, right? Are you falling on the midpoint, on the self-serve, or are you really top shelf at this point, and we can do whatever we want from wherever we need to? Right? So cost Cost is also a critical factor in helping people decide, what they need to use. Do they do it themselves, or how this plays out from a creative